Hey people. So, like with last week, not that great of an episode, but I've got two theories as to why that is for me. One, this could be the first bit of a two-parter episode if we're going to compare this to Nicaragua, where you've got older tribe loses, simple vote out. Younger tribe loses, fairly simple vote out, although a little bit more crazier than the older tribe. Older tribe loses again, and they lose a figurehead. Next time, older tribe loses again, and the voting process is much more crazier than it has been previously. Since you can argue that the trends of the seasons have been going along, we might get a little bit better of it next time. And number two, there's also a good possibility that I'm simply getting a little bit tired of watching reality shows right now, because I ended up watching Big Brother 17 and Big Brother Canada 4 back to back, and I literally just got done watching Big Brother 18, but while I was watching that show, that was pretty much the only kind of TV show, YouTube video that I was watching, so maybe I'm just tired of reality TV right now. That could be. So I'm going into it. Well, after the Millennials get back from Tribal, we've got that weird discussion where Hannah is admitting to her previous two allies that she was, all over the place and not really sure of what she did and trying to make amends. And I don't entirely blame her for it, but at the same time, she really should have been able to realize that she should have just been able to walk away from that conversation, and like... That reminded me of me in my younger days, where I was always trying to express my opinion and not really get other people's behavior that much. Yeah, so that's one reason I had a tough time watching that particular scene. Right. I do kind of feel a little bit sorry for those two though, because they didn't really do anything wrong. Heck, it was actually Mari who did something wrong. Yeah, bit of a bummer there. Right. And then we've got this tribe meetup thing, which I thought was kind of interesting, but from what we saw in the episode, there wasn't any mentionings of it, like once they got back, or any thoughts on the people that stayed at the camps. Like, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, like, how do the Millennials view Paul, Ken, David, what are the Generation X people's, more in-depth bits of people over there, because the Millennial people on the Ambassador bits were more of the super young cool kids, plus Will. So, I just would have liked a little bit more than that. It could be that there's something in the secret scene, but... I don't know, just one person talking to a camera for 1.5 to 3.5 minutes, I don't think that's going to necessarily give me the greatest amount of stuff that I'm looking for, right? So I would have liked to see a little more uneasiness because of that. Not to say that this was entirely a bad idea, but I just feel like it could matter more than what they're showing us. Yeah. Then as for the other bits of tribe activity, well, even though they did throw in enough potential for us to get an idea of what would happen if either tribe lost, I got the idea that the Generation X tribe was likely to lose halfway because they just showed them talking first, so... Yeah. Although Paul has admitted that actually they were catching a lot more fish than it appeared, but I do believe that the currents out there were tough, because sure, in Old School Survivor they showed people pulling in a good loads of food all the time, and especially Palau, where Kuro at least was getting a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not that simple. Yeah, right. So as for the challenge, that was a nice challenge in my mind, although CC did really screw it up with that idea. Now, I do get what's probably going on in her line of thinking. A lot of progress being undone here. I'm fairly certain that I can make it, so why don't I? Yeah, but at a point it becomes obvious that if you're not going to go quickly across the balance beam, it's better to get rid of the bag. Now I know what you're thinking. Doesn't the bag help give you a bit of a better center of gravity? Well, arguably it does, but at the same time, if you do that, you can't see your feet. And some people are really put off with that, because, like, I always have a tough time when I have to help somebody, you know, like, move a bookcase up or down the steps because I can't see my feet. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do you look at your feet when you're walking up the stairs normally? No, but that's because I'm not doing anything, and almost always I've got my hand on something anyway. Come on, people, it's just... it messes with you big time. Yeah. Although I was kind of impressed with how much the Generation X tribe was able to come back from that, because they did get about half the puzzle, and because they had the Millennials over there, they could get even a couple more clues, but... yeah, I just didn't really feel like you would be able to recover from that, because that's how it usually works out in this show. You have one tribe get a darn good ways ahead of the other tribe, then you have the edit make it seem like the tribe that's behind makes up almost all the distance to where the first tribe starts having a little bit of trouble, but then the first tribe snaps through and then is able to pull out the victory. So that's pretty much what happened here, with a tiny variant, yeah. So that was to be expected. As for the deal, well, if you thought who Napu and San Juan del Sur did weak deal making, here it was even weaker. I really am surprised that Jeff didn't demand, like, more stuff from them, although I don't know if there's really too much for them to give them, because obviously he's not going to make them give up immunity. That's way too crazy for production. And then as for the tops, I'm pretty sure both tribes have a top now, although I really don't get how that could be, because he made them give them back the temporary tops, so... yeah, just, it was a bad deal all round, although it was wise of him to bring Generation X into the picture, yeah. So then as for what was going on at the Gen X camp, you could tell that it was CC or Paul, but the whole time I was like, okay, David, why are you considering getting your idol? Like, if you play the idol and no one's flipping against Paul, you're actually going to do more harm than good, in my mind, because no one will trust you even more than they already are. So you're going to have to rely on Ken to make people trust him and then trust you. So that would have been a bad move. So I had a feeling that that bit wouldn't actually happen, and even at Tribal, where David's sitting there, and you can't tell immediately if he's going to play the idol or not. I'm like, don't play it, dude, don't. Thankfully he didn't. And then as for the CC vs. Paul thing, I also was expecting CC to go because of the challenge, and as I mentioned in my first few Blood vs. Water videos, like the deal with what was going on with Brad, rarely ever is somebody in the position to, where Brad is getting mentioned, being us to being voted out. Rarely ever does it happen the first time. Usually it's the second or third time. Now, to be fair, you can argue because Generation X won last week, that was the first time. Well, I do kind of agree with that idea, but I just felt like it was way too soon to get rid of him, to be honest. I think they made the wrong decision. I think they should have done CC and then vote out Paul the next time, because my thinking is, had they waited another time, they could have pulled in, what's his face, Chris and Brad, I think his name might be, if I remember what Rob Sesternino said back in it, then it would have been a little bit more of a unified decision. I feel like they made the wrong move, but it wasn't entirely a bad idea. Like, I would have wanted him to go probably next time if he had stuck around, so yeah.